Welcome back, everybody. These are the films that we love, the best movies of 1951. Join us as we celebrate these incredible films of 1951. Let's get started. A Christmas Carol, drama, family, and fantasy. Ebenezer Scrooge, a miserly businessman, has no time for sentimentality and largely views Christmas as a waste of time. Ace in the Hole. A frustrated former big city journalist, now stuck working for an Albuquerque newspaper, exploits a story about a man trapped in a cave to rekindle his career. Angels in the Outfield, comedy, family, and fantasy. The Pittsburgh Pirates' brash and abusive manager receives the help of an angel to win games and become a better person in the process. Another Man's Poison, crime and drama. A mystery writer becomes involved in a tangled web of murderous deception, not unlike the plots of her novel. Bedtime for Bonzo, comedy and fantasy. A college professor attempts to salvage his personal and professional reputation by using a laboratory chimpanzee to prove that environment trumps heredity in behavioral development. Call Me Mister. A GI in occupied Japan tries to re-woo his old love, who's putting on a show for the troops. Next up we have is the wonderful film Captain Horatio Hornblower. During the Napoleonic Wars, a British Navy captain has adventures in Central American waters. Captain Horatio Hornblower. David and Bathsheba. After King David sees the beautiful Bathsheba bathing from the palace roof, he enters into an adulterous affair which has tragic consequences for his family and Israel. Detective Story. On one day, on the 21st Precinct Squad Room, assorted characters form a backdrop for the troubles of hard-nosed detective Jim McCloud. Father's Little Dividend. Shortly after coming to terms with his daughter's marriage, a father faces the prospect of becoming a grandfather. Remember Father of the Bride? Here's Father's Little Dividend. 14 Hours. An unhappy man threatens suicide by standing on the ledge of a high-rise building for 14 hours. Drama and thriller. Next up we have is The Great Caruso, biography, drama, and musical. This film traces the life of tenor Enrico Caruso. He loves Musetta in his hometown of Naples, and then Dorothy, the daughter of one of the Metropolitan Opera's patrons. He ran all the way. Nick and his partner Al stage a payroll holdup. Al is shot, and Nick kills a policeman. What happens next? He ran all the way. Hollywood Story, crime drama. An independent producer unwisely opens a can of worms after he decides to make a movie about the unsolved murder of a famous silent film director in 1929. I was a communist for the FBI. In Pittsburgh, PA, an FBI agent works to undermine the Communist Party, but his brothers and his teenage son think he's a real Red. I'll Never Forget You. A scientist obsessed with the past transports himself back in time to 18th century London, where he falls in love with a beautiful young woman. I'll Never Forget You. This is a great movie. I'll See You in My Dreams. The success and decline of songwriter Gus Kahn is portrayed with his wife Grace Kahn sticking by him the whole time. Biography, comedy, and musical. Jim Thorpe, All-American, biography, drama, and family. The triumph and tragedy of Native American Jim Thorpe, who, after winning both the pentathlon and decathlon in the same Olympics, is stripped of his medals on a technicality. Let's Make It Legal. The nearly final divorce of the Houseworth suddenly gets complicated when Miriam's old flame comes to town. Next up we have is Little Bighorn, drama and western. A small band of cavalry attempt to warn Custer of an impending massacre. Friction develops when commander of the patrol suspects his subordinates are having an affair with his wife. Love Nest, comedy, drama, and romance. Two married New Yorkers purchase an old, rundown building full of colorful tenants. Love Nest. Next up, we have the classic movie called M. In this Americanization of 1931 German thriller, both the police and the criminal underworld stalk a mysterious killer who preys on small children. M. Crime drama. The Man in the White Suit. Comedy and drama. An altruistic chemist invents a fabric which resists wear and stain as a boon to humanity, but big business and labor realize it must be suppressed for economic reasons. Man in the Saddle. A private deadly feud ensues when ruthless wealthy rancher Will Isham attempts a takeover of a small rancher. Man in the Saddle. Next up we have is The Mating Season. Ellen McAnulty loses her hamburger joint and goes to see her son, who marries a socialite at the same time. The Mating Season. Comedy, drama, and romance. Meet Me After the Show. Comedy, musical, and romance. Delilah is the star of her husband's Broadway show when she starts to suspect he has been exchanging more than contracts with the show's vampish backer. Meet Me After the Show. Mr. Imperium. A beautiful romance between a singer and a persistent prince. Drama and musical. Mr. Imperium. Next up we have is the classic No Highway in the Sky. Drama and thriller. An aeronautical engineer predicts that a new model of plane will fail catastrophically and in a novel manner after a specific number of flying hours. Olivia. Comedy and drama. Late 19th century in a finishing school for young girls near in France, the principal, the fascinating Miss Julie, sows confusion in the heart of the newcomer Olivia. On Moonlight Bay. Comedy and family and musical. During World War I, a teenage girl begins a romance with a college student, but his unconventional attitudes cause friction with her father. On the Riviera. Comedy and musical. An American entertainer impersonates a wealthy aviator and flirts with his lookalike's neglected wife. On the Riviera. Only the Valiant. Drama and western. A despised cavalry commander is unfairly blamed by his troop for the death of a popular officer and must redeem himself. Only the Valiant. Operation Pacific. Drama, romance, and war. During World War II, a submarine's second in command inherits the problem of torpedoes that don't explode. When on shore, he is eager to win back his ex-wife. Othello. Drama and romance. The Moorish general Othello is manipulated into thinking that his new wife, Desdemona, has been carrying on an affair with Lieutenant Michael Cassio. Othello. Pandora and the Flying Dutchman. A seductive woman falls in love with a mysterious ship's captain. Drama, fantasy, and mystery. Next up we have is Peking Express. A group of refugees fleeing Chinese communist rule via train are beset by a gang of terrifying outlaws. Peking Express. Action drama. Next up we have is His Kind of Woman. Action and crime. A deported gangster's plan to re-enter the USA involves skullduggery at a Mexican resort. A gambler, Dan Milner, is caught in the middle. His Kind of Woman. On dangerous ground. Rough City cop Jim Wilson is disciplined by his captain and is sent upstate to a snowy mountain town to help the local sheriff solve a murder case. Rawhide. Drama, romance, and western. A stagecoach, stop employee, and a stranded woman traveler find themselves at the mercy of four desperate outlaws intent on robbing the next day's gold shipment. 10 Tall Men. Action, adventure, and war. During the Rif War in Morocco, the French Foreign Legion's outpost of Tarfa is threatened by Caliph tribes, but Sergeant Mike Kincaid devises a plan of survival. The Hoodlum. Paroled sociopath and career criminal Vincent betrays his family's trust when he masterminds a complex armored car robbery. The Hoodlum. Next up we have is The Red Badge of Courage. Drama and war. Truncated adaptation of Stephen Crane's novel about the Civil War Union soldier who struggles to find the courage to fight in the heat of battle. Next up we have is Red Mountain. Drama and western. In 1865, Confederate Captain Sherwood is heading to Colorado, where Confederate General Quantrill is stirring up rebellion using various Indian nations. Royal Wedding. Comedy musical. A brother and sister dance act encounter challenges and romance when booked in London during the royal wedding. Next up we have is the classic The Secret of Convict Lake. In 1871, a convict escapes with other prisoners to kill the man that framed him, but has second thoughts after meeting the man's beautiful future wife. Showboat. Drama, family, and musical. The daughter of a riverboat captain falls in love with a charming gambler, but their fairy tale romance is threatened after his luck turns sour. The Stooge. Comedy and drama and musical. Egotistical vaudevillian Bill Miller basks in the limelight with a successful musical comedy act, but his success is due to his unheralded second banana. Storm Warning. Crime and drama. Marsha Mitchell, a traveling dress model, stops in southern town to see her sister who has married a Ku Klux Klansman. Storm Warning. Strangers on a train. A psychopath forces a tennis star to comply with his theory that two strangers can get away with murder. Crime and drama. Strangers on a train. That was a good movie. Superman and the Mole Men. Action, adventure, and drama. When underground beings explore the surface world from deep oil well and inadvertently cause a panic, only Superman can prevent a tragedy. The Tales of Hoffman. A melancholy poet reflects on three women he loved and lost in the past. A mechanical performing doll, a Venetian courtesan, and the consumption daughter of a celebrated composer. The Model and the Marriage Broker. Marriage broker May Swasey, who somewhat cynically arranges her loser's clients' affairs, meets model Kitty and can't resist meddling in her life. The Model and the Marriage Broker. The Blue Veil. Louise is a young widow who fills her empty life with the task of becoming a children's nurse. The Blue Veil. Next up we have is the classic The Desert Fox. The story of Rommel. The story of the final years of the respected World War II German General Erwin Rommel. Next up we have is the scary movie The Frogmen. The new commander of a Navy underwater demolition team nicknamed Frogmen must earn the respect of the men in his unit. The Frogmen. Adventure, drama, war. The House on Telegraph Hill. Crime, drama, and horror. Concentration camp survivor Victoria finds herself involved in mystery, greed, and murder. The House on Telegraph Hill. The Mob. Crime and drama. Johnny D'Amico botches a murder case and is suspended from the force. The Mob. Next up we have is the classic The Prince Who Was a Thief. In 13th century Tangiers, Regent Mustafa hires a paid assassin to kill baby Prince Hussein in order to usurp his throne. But the assassin has second thoughts and steals the baby for herself. The Tall Target. A New York City detective traveling by train to New York and Baltimore tries to foil an onboard plot to assassinate the president. The Tall Target. The Texas Rangers. In 1874, unable to eliminate a gang of notorious outlaws, the Texas Rangers hired two former convicts to assist with the tracking and the destruction of the Sam Bass gang. Western. The Lavender Hill Mob, comedy and crime. A meat bank clerk who oversees the shipment of bullion joins with an eccentric neighbor to steal gold bars and smuggle them out of the country. The Lavender Hill Mob. The Prowler, drama and thriller. After Susan reports a prowler outside her house, police officer Webb investigates and sparks fly. If only her husband wasn't in the way. The Prowler. Three guys named Mike. A flight attendant becomes romantically involved with an airline pilot, a college professor, and a successful businessman. Three guys named Mike. Next up we have is the classic Thunder on the Hill. Convicted murderess Valerie is being transported to Norwich to be executed when a flood strands her and her guards at a convent hospital. Thunder on the Hill. Tomahawk. In 1866, Wyoming, a frontier scout tries to prevent a war between the Sioux and the U.S. after the Army builds a road and a fort on territory. Tomahawk. Vengeance Valley. The sons of a Colorado cattle baron, one biological and the other adopted, resent one another and fight for control of their father's cattle empire. Vengeance Valley. Westward, the Women. A trail guide escorts a group of women from Chicago to California to marry men that have recently begun settling there. Westward, the Women. You Can Never Tell. Comedy and crime and fantasy. An ex-army dog inherits a fortune from his eccentric millionaire owner, and which is poisoned, asks the leader in the heaven for animals to send him back to Earth. You never can tell. A streetcar named Desire. Disturbed Blanche Dubois moves in with her sister in New Orleans and is tormented by her brutish brother-in-law while her reality crumbles around her. A Place in the Sun. A poor boy gets a job working for his rich uncle and ends up falling in love with two women. A Place in the Sun. Bud Abbott and Lou Costello meet the Invisible Man. Two bumbling private eyes help a man wrongly accused of murder who has become invisible to clear his name. Comedy, family, and sci-fi and horror. Across the Wide Missouri. Trapper Flint Mitchell and other mountain men from the Rendezvous join forces to enter virgin trapping territory, but must contend with a resentful Blackfoot chief. Along the Great Divide, Western, a U.S. Marshal and two deputies rescue a cattle rustler from a lynch mob led by a local cattle baron, convinced that the rustler also killed his son. Along the Great Divide. Christie. A millionaire for Christie. A secretary is sent on a business trip to inform a radio personality he just inherited $2 million. She falls for him instantly, and he's on his way to get married. A Millionaire for Christie. An American in Paris. Three friends struggle to find work in Paris. Things become more complicated when two of them fall in love with the same woman. As Young as You Feel. A 65-year-old printer hatches an elaborate scheme to avoid forced retirement. As Young as You Feel. Behave Yourself. Comedy and crime. When a cute Welsh Terrier follows Bill Denny home, little does he know that all gangland has its eye on the dog. Behave Yourself. Bowery Battalion. In order to trap some spies, the Bowery Boys join the army. I love the Bowery Boys. Every film is corny, goofy, and funny. You'll love the Bowery Boys. Calloway Went That-A-Way. Two marketing professionals hire a lookalike of classic Western actor Smokey Calloway to impersonate the actor and make new films. But things go awry when the real Calloway shows up missing. Calloway Went That-A-Way. China Corsair in the Green Dragons Gambling Club, operated by Hu Chang, a merchant marine. is cheated out of money. China Corsair. Coming round the mountain with Bud Abbott and Lou Costello. Bud and Lou get mixed up with hillbillies, witches, and love potions. Coming around the mountain. Next up we have is the classic Crazy Over Horses. The boys get mixed up with a racehorse and cricket gamblers. Again, the Bowery Boys, you cannot go wrong with the Bowery Boys. Distant Drums, action, adventure, and drama. After destroying a Seminole fort, American soldiers and their rescued companions must face the dangerous Everglades and hostile Indians in order to reach safety. Double Dynamite, adventure, comedy, and musical. An innocent bank teller suspected of embezzlement is aided by an eccentric, wisecracking waiter. Next up we have is the comedy Excuse My Dust, comedy and musical. Joe, an inventor in an American small town of 1895, has problems with his new invention, a car driven with a gasoline motor. Excuse My Dust. Come Fill the Cup. Alcoholic newspaperman Lou Marsh hits bottom, loses his job, and is rehabilitated by Charlie Dolan. Drama. Come Fill the Cup. Next up we have is Starlift, comedy, drama, and musical. To impress a movie star, a U.S. Air Force crewman pretends he is soon to see combat. When his lie gets out, chaos ensues. Starlift. Force of Arms. During World War II in Italy, an American sergeant and whack lieutenant take time out for romance. Force of Arms. Gasoline Alley, comedy, musical, and romance. The popular Frank O. King comic strip characters go from newspaper page to the screen in this 1951 feature. Gasoline Alley. Ghost Chasers, featuring the Bowery Boys. A ghost helps the Bowery Boys capture a gang of crooks led by a mad doctor. Every Bowery Boys film you'll love. There's not one bad Bowery Boys movie. Check out Ghost Chasers. Goodbye, Mr. Fancy. Then Congresswoman Agatha returns to her alma mater for commencement, although she's more interested in renewing her romance with an old flame. Comedy romance. Goodbye, my fancy. He ran all the way. Nick and his partner all shot by the Nick had that in the public pool. I've already done He Ran All the Way, so we'll delete He Ran All the Way. It's a Big Country, an American anthology. The story, told in 8 episodes, covers different facets of the American spirit, from racial and religious tolerance to the dangers of self-centeredness and myopic reasoning. Comedy drama. Let's Go Navy. The Bowery Boys join the Navy to catch some crooks who are posing as sailors. The Bowery Boys, you cannot go around with the Bowery Boys. Next up we have is the classic comedy, My Favorite Spy. A burlesque comic who resembles an international spy is recruited by the government and sent to Tangier to retrieve a sensitive microfilm before it's captured by hostile foreign agents. Decision Before Dawn. As the U.S. Army approaches Nazi Germany, they recruit German prisoners to spy behind German lines. Decision Before Dawn. Drama and war. Payment on Demand. Drama. The film is about divorce, but with flashbacks as to why divorce occurs. Payment on Demand, featuring Betty Davis. Next up we have is the great drama, People Will Talk. Comedy, drama, and romance. Dr. Noah Pretorius falls in love with Deborah, a student who discovers that she is pregnant by her old boyfriend. People Will Talk. His Kind of Woman. A deported gangster's plan to re-enter the USA involves skullduggery at a Mexican resort, and gambler Dan Milner is caught in the middle. His Kind of Woman. Quo Vadis. After fierce Roman commander Marcus Vincius becomes infatuated with beautiful Christian hostage Lygia, he begins to question the tyrannical leadership of the despotic Emperor Nero. You're in the Navy now. When a new commander is assigned to a submarine chaser with an experimental engine, he finds the entire crew has little experience as he does. You're in the Navy now. Submarine Command. Submarine Commander Ken White reminisces about his wartime years aboard submarine USSS Tiger Shark and struggles with feelings of personal guilt. The Raging Tide. After a San Francisco gangster murders a rival criminal, he seeks shelter on a fisherman's boat while the police are manhunting him and pressuring his girlfriend into betrayal. Royal Wedding. A brother and sister dance, act, encounter challenges, and romance when booked in London during the royal wedding. Comedy, musical, and romance. Sirocco. Action and drama. A cynical American expatriate gets involved in smuggling and gun running for the rebels during the 1925 Syrian insurgency against French occupation. Sirocco. Teresa. A reluctant soldier, Peter, serves in Italy during World War II. He marries a local girl named Teresa and brings her to the U.S. Drama. Next up we have is That's My Boy, comedy musical. The greatest player in Ridgefield College history uses his influence and reputation to get his only son, a sickly, uncoordinated nerd, on the college football team with comic results. That's my boy. The Enforcer. A crusading district attorney finally gets a chance to prosecute the organizer and boss of Murder, Inc. Crime and thriller. The Enforcer. Next up we have is The Lemon Drop Kid. A New York City swindler has until Christmas to come up with the $10,000 he owes a gangster, prompting him to go into scamming overdrive. The Lemon Drop Kid is a classic. The Thing from Another World, horror, and sci-fi. Scientists and American Air Force officials fend off a bloodthirsty alien organism while at a remote Arctic outpost. The African Queen. In World War I, East Africa, a gin-swilling Canadian riverboat captain is persuaded by a straight-laced English missionary to undertake a trip up the treacherous river and use his boat to attack Germany. The Day the Earth Stood Still, drama, sci-fi, and horror. An alien lands in Washington, D.C. and tells the people of Earth that they must live peacefully or be destroyed as a danger to other planets. The Fat Man. A dentist murder is investigated by hefty sleuth Brad Runyon. Next up we have is The Last Outpost, drama and western. Despite their fighting on opposite sides during the Civil War, brothers Vance and Jeb have to set their differences aside in order to survive an Indian attack. The Strip. Drummer Stanley Maxton moves to Los Angeles with dreams of opening his own club, but falls in with a gangster and a nightclub dancer and ends up accused of murder. The Strip. Those are the films of 1951. Those were the best films of 1951. Tons of romance, westerns, Oscar-winning performances, great actors, great comedic duos. You had Bud Abbott and Lou Costello. You had the Bowery Boys, Stan and Ollie. You had Martin and Lewis. And you just had then you had leading men such as who was it? I can't think of his name right now, but he did Father's Little Dividend, Father of the Bride, Spencer Tracy. You had Spencer Tracy in there, Humphrey Bogart, Gary Cooper. 1951 was a great year for Hollywood. We're in the greatest, probably one of the greatest decades of film, the 50s, where you start seeing more films in color. Obviously, there's still black and white in the 50s, but 50s, you're starting to see a lot more movies in color. A lot more moviegoers are going to film. You have aliens, war, a lot of movies about World War II, westerns, cowboys and Indians type of films, whodunits and mysteries and thrillers. Every movie was great because every movie just has acting and dialogue and wonderful acting. less special effects as it is in 2024. 1951 was a great year for movies. Let me know if there were any movies of 1951 that I left out. Maybe we can talk about that in the comments below. All right, I'm Tony. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.